So welcome to the session. We are resuming from we had done last the sutra number 31, I said, I think. Yes, sutra number 31. One thing which maybe we didn't discuss in the last session, just want to, highlight it or point it out to you. Are you aware of the Advaita philosophy? And then there is Sankhya. So Advait says there is only oneness. There is only one. There is no duality. Advait means there's no two. There's only one. And the other philosophies, like for example Sankhya, they are broadly called Dvaita, or where there is duality. There is energy and matter. Now, what Master has done brilliantly in these sutras, in the previous sutra and some in the sutras before that, he has, because there used to be a dispute between these two, philosophies. So he has very brilliantly reconciled both of them, by calling this a paradox. He said both contradictory things. There is only one and there is more than one. They are actually just a paradox. So by doing that, he has elevated our understanding to a higher level. So the dispute gets transcended. Now the dispute no longer exists. Yes, it is both. There is oneness and there is duality. What Master calls oneness and individuality. Both exist or both exist simultaneously. And by calling it a paradox, now there is no dispute. It is this also, it is that also. Yeah. Okay, let's start reading from Sutra number 32. The energy body of the planet Earth has a consciousness of its own. The Earth's energy body is actually a great living planetary computer. Your energy body and its chakras has a consciousness of its own and is a living mini biocomputer. It is connected with the great planetary biocomputer. The task is to access the great planetary biocomputer. The whole universe or universes has consciousness and is a great living cosmic computer. This is just one level of truth. The principle of interconnectedness and principle of oneness have different levels of truth. The reason why these spiritual teachings are correlated with modern science is to make them more comprehensive. So a slightly longer sutra. Let's try to unpack it. Let's try to break it down. Now, Master talks about biocomputer. So why does he say biocomputer? Now, I think why he is saying computer is because a computer is a good example of a thing that has consciousness or that can be considered to have consciousness. Like a, a computer has a certain amount of consciousness. Of course, that consciousness has been imparted by the human, who's put in the software, who's written the software, who's executing the software, and so on. But the fact is that a working computer demonstrates a certain degree of consciousness. And in the previous sutra, Master had talked about how each computer has its own consciousness, but together, when they are put together as a supercomputer, as a grid of many computers acting, working together to solve one problem, it's like they have a greater wholeness, something like that. There is oneness, and each is working by itself. So I think why Master keeps saying computer is because it is easy for us to understand that the computer has a certain amount of consciousness. I think because Master, wrote these books in the, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, the phones were not that developed. Today, maybe you could even say, you could just use the example of a phone because now a phone has enough, you can say, consciousness because it has its ability to respond to respond to things that happen around it. It is able to perceive, it is able to comprehend, and it is able to react. Of course, all that is programmed by the humans. But once it is programmed, it demonstrates a certain degree of consciousness. So I think whenever master is saying computer, we have to take it as an example of something with consciousness. And why does he say bio? Now, I refer you to the basic pranic healing book, Ancient Science and Art or Miracles Through Pranic Healing. Their master says the word bio means life or living. So, when master says biocomputer, we understand that it is a living thing. Now, what does it mean, living thing? You see, any biological entity, it knows how to produce energy or attain energy or get energy, and it is self-managing, to some extent self-repairing, like our bodies, they have an ability to repair themselves, and usually they have an energy body, which is what gives the physical body the consciousness. So when master says biocomputer, we should understand something that is living and has consciousness. Now, why does he say, when he says is a living mini biocomputer? So I think it's a matter of comparison. When he's saying planetary, that is a great, it's a matter of size, really. So obviously, the planetary computer is very large, or the planetary entity with consciousness is very large as compared to us who are in front of it, like a mini. Yeah, so it's essentially a matter of size. Now, what Master is trying to tell us, I think, my understanding, each planet, each solar system, each galaxy, each universe, they have individual consciousness. Each planet has individual consciousness, but as a part of the solar system, its consciousness is a part of the consciousness of the solar system. Now, a galaxy has many solar systems. Each solar system has its own consciousness, and each planet in the solar system has its own consciousness. But they come together to give us a bigger entity, with its own consciousness, right? And it goes on till the universe and multi universes and so on. So each element has its own consciousness, but so you can see the parallel with our bodies. Every cell in our body, every chakra has its own consciousness, but then it comes together. There is a consciousness of the body where all the consciousness of each cell comes together as a whole. Yeah. So this is very often it is said as above, so below, or as below, so above. So, like it is with us, so it is all the way up to the universal God or the universal entity. Each level, the entity is whole by itself, but is a part of a bigger whole. Whole, WHOLE, wholeness. So we are ourselves whole. By myself as an individual, I am whole, I am complete, but I am a part of a bigger completeness, a bigger wholeness. Whole again, WHOLE, not HOLE. So, for example, we are taught in Theosophy that each of us is a particle in the body of the planetary God, or the great being who is in charge of planet Earth. Now that being is a part of a bigger entity. Yeah, it's like that interconnected gridded computers. Each computer has its own independent existence, but it is a part of a bigger computer. Yeah. And then Master says different levels of truth. Now, this is something that applies to all spiritual truths, all spiritual laws. Every spiritual truth, every spiritual law you can interpret at different levels. Now, for example, here Master says the task is, can you see in the sutra? The task is to access the great planetary biocomputer. Now, this we can see at least two levels we can understand. One level. At one level, this task would be to understand, accept, and align with the divine plan. You remember Great Invocation? The purpose that the holy masters know and serve. So the gurus, the holy masters, they explain or they teach us the divine plan. Now the thing is to understand it, accept it, and align our lives with the divine plan. And why? Because we want to attain, like Master has said, heaven on earth. So that is one level. Now, at another level, you can interpret that the task is to the what does he say? The task is to access the great planetary computer. It can be understood at another level. You see, the planetary computer is what? It is the planetary god. So that means our task is to attain oneness with God or with the planetary god. And when we say God, our nearest presence of God is the planetary God. And later, I think in the next few sutras, this will be explained better. So, this is our ultimate goal. What is the purpose of life? Number one, to unite, achieve union or attain yoga with the higher soul. Then, next, attain oneness or yoga with Supreme God. All right? Sorry about that. So this I was telling you that at the higher level you can understand that as attaining oneness with Supreme God, which is the purpose of our life, right? And at actually another level, but which is a much lower level, distant pranic healing. How do we do distance healing? By connecting with the other person through the energy body of the earth, right? You remember this from basic pranic healing? How does distance pranic healing happen? I am connected to the Earth's energy body. That person is connected with the Earth's energy body. Through the Earth's energy body, I connect with the person I'm trying to heal. Yeah. And where when Master says the reason why these spiritual teachings are correlated with modern science is to make them more comprehensible, I hope you can see. You see, can you imagine 200 years ago where there was no cell phone, where there was no computer, where there was no, it would be very difficult for people to understand, for example, this paradox of, or, oneness and individuality or consciousness or being able to think of the earth's energy body and so on. And now actually with the coming of AI, which even in master's time wasn't there. And it's only 20 years ago, or less than 20 years ago, but now with AI it's a great example of consciousness. All right, let's go forward. Let's read the next three sutras. They are sort of talking about the law of karma. Let's read them together. Based on the principle of spiritual oneness, whatever a person does to others, he does to himself. Spiritually, the causes set within the inner world will inevitably materialize physically unless a neutralizing factor is set in motion. The fruits may be pleasant or unpleasant, depending on the nature of the seed that was planted. This is called the law of karma. Based on the principle of spiritual oneness, by killing or hurting other people, one is doing it to oneself many, many times. The negative karmic effect will inevitably manifest. By giving and sharing generously, one will be blessed with great abundance and prosperity. By giving and sharing generously, one is actually giving to oneself many, many times. This positive karma will inevitably manifest. So, really you have to admire Master Choa's genius. He's just explained the entire law of karma, put it in a nutshell. The entire spiritual basis, the foundation of the law of karma, he has explained so simply, so beautifully. We are all one. There is the principle of spiritual oneness. So what it means is what you're doing to other, because since we are all one, I am doing it to myself. Correct? So now, one thing that because I don't think we want to really discuss law of karma very much. I'm sure all of you have a reasonable understanding of it. And if you would like a more thorough discussion, maybe we can do it in the next session. You just give me feedback, and we will, talk more about it in the next session. For now, I just want to assume that you are quite familiar with the law of karma. I just want to point you to one or a few aspects of it. First of all, you are aware that the law of karma is taught universally. Every great religion, every great spiritual teacher has talked about the law of karma. Brings us to a question why? There is so much difference or deviation between different teachers, and they are born in different times, in different regions, in different cultures, and so on. How is it that they are able to teach the law of karma in almost exactly the same way? Now, my thinking is that, you see, when the person who we call a guru or a spiritual teacher or a holy master, they are people whose consciousness has risen very high, at least to the Buddhic plane. Okay, let me just put up this diagram. You remember we talked about it the last time also. Now, when their so most of us, our consciousness is here, physical plane, maybe in the emotional plane, little bit in the, the physical, astral, mental. Now, when we get to the Buddhic plane, that is where we start experiencing oneness, not just intellectually talking about it, but it becomes a matter of routine experience. Now, when they experience this oneness, they can see that this whole separation, or the feeling of separation, you are different, I am different, you are separate, I am separate, or this individuality is only an illusion. It is only due to the limitations of the lower levels of consciousness, or let us say the lower bodies, right? So this, when their consciousness has risen above, especially when it comes to the Buddhic plane, and they are experiencing oneness, it is not just now theoretical or intellectual, they are actually experiencing oneness. Now they understand that what you are doing supposedly to someone else, actually you're doing it to yourself. And that is why I think in all ages, across the world, in all regions, in different cultures, every or most spiritual teachers have emphasized the law of karma. Yeah. Does it make sense to you? I hope it makes some sense to you. Now, when Master talks about this, the example I usually give is that the law of karma, oneness leading to the law of karma, it is like, you're sitting with many people in a closed room. And either to, in a good way or in a bad way, you release some fragrance or some smell in a closed room. It may be a nice smell, it may be a bad smell. Now, whatever the smell, the fact is you are going to smell it again and again and again. You are going to inhale it again and again and again. You may have done it for their either benefit or to harm them, but the fact is, you are in the same closed room. You will also go through it, and not just once, but again and again. Right? So, this is the usual example that I like to think of how it works. Now, Master says, unless neutralizing, what does he say? Unless a neutralizing factor is set in motion. Now, for this, I would refer you again to the basic pranic healing book. Their master has beautifully, simply, and in great detail explained how we can bring in neutralizing factors, or what can be neutralizing factors. So my request is please make a note, and today in the evening or tomorrow or whenever you have time, do read this. There is a section in the ancient science and art or miracles through pranic healing, whatever is the basic pranic healing book that you have, you will find it in that. And please read it thoroughly. One of the things I find is that most people don't read the basic, advanced pranic healing book. Everybody reads because all protocols are there. But the basic pranic healing book, the ancient science and art, or the miracles through pranic healing, we unfortunately don't read so thoroughly or so often. So please do read it. To summarize, Master gives three factors. Number one, he says, learn the lesson, make a firm resolution not to repeat those mistakes and to do, the good things, which is what we do in character development, in inner reflection, firm resolution. Number two, he says, use the law of mercy. Number three, he says, use the law of forgiveness. Those are the three ways or neutralizing factors that Master has given. Yeah. And then Master says, by giving and sharing generously. Now, when we read this, sometimes we only think about giving and sharing materially or financially. But it's not limited to that. Even verbally, even emotionally, mentally, spiritually, generosity, the virtue of generosity can be practiced at many, many levels. In the Indian system, the goddess of prosperity or abundance is Lakshmi. Now, Lakshmi is not only money. Lakshmi has many forms. Or in Hindi we say roop. So Lakshmi has many roop or many forms, many aspects. So there are, I would encourage you to read about them and, see, because, just money can sometimes still leave your life quite empty. You may have a lot of money, but you may still not have a comfortable or what I would call a rich life. And one final thing, about law of karma, we are responsible, we are the creators of our life, of our future. And another tip, when your life is good, and everybody's life has some good things, maybe some not so good things. Think of the things that are good and use them to invest in good karma. When life will become more challenging, more difficult, excuse me, sorry, when life will be more difficult, and life is in cycles, so it goes up and down. Today, life may be good, tomorrow, life may not be as good. So, in those times, it will be very, very helpful. The good karma, the investment you will make in good karma at a time when you have a certain amount of prosperity in some way or the other. Yeah? All right. We are almost at the end of the session. Okay, I'll just read the next one. We won't discuss it today. There's not enough time. May I suggest just, maybe, okay, let's read it once and then I'll read it. You just listen to it with your eyes closed. There is only one Supreme God who is omnipresent. The presence of God in the planet Earth is called the planetary God or the planetary Parabrahman. The planetary God is also called planetary Logos. Since life on the planet Earth, physical and non physical, is sustained through the constant use of the sound or the word. Logos is a Greek term for the word or God. May I suggest just close your eyes? I will read this. Just listen to me and think about each word or each sentence. There is only one Supreme God who is omnipresent. Supreme God is omnipresent, meaning Supreme God is in everything. Everything is in Supreme God. There is only one Supreme God who is omnipresent. The presence of God in the planet Earth is called the planetary God or the planetary Parabrahman. The planetary God is also called planetary Logos, since life on the planet Earth, physical and non physical, is sustained through the constant use of the sound or the word. There is only one Supreme God who is omnipresent. The presence of God in the planet Earth is called the planetary God or the planetary Parabrahman. Your consciousness expands, just allow it to expand. Supreme God is omnipresent. Supreme God is in everything. Everything is in Supreme God. Planetary God is the presence of Supreme God in our planet Earth. I am a child of God. I am connected with God. I am one with God. I am one with all. We are all one. We are all one. Separation is an illusion.